Hey guys, we're so excited today because we have our friend and fellow IUI student Anna Greenfield here with us today. Anna, thanks for being here with us today. We are so excited
Thanks for
to have
joining.
you.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me.
To start, why don't you just kind of give us a little introduction about yourself, just so we can kind of get to know you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm excited y'all are doing this. It's just so exciting, and I'm ready to listen to all of them. But as I said, I'm Anna Greenfield. I'm from Bloomington, Illinois, and I'm now a senior at IUPUI studying sports management and then getting certificates in business, event management, and then a minor in dance. So that's kind of a long story, but it's been fun.
She's a dancer, y'all.
Oh, yeah, I don't know about
is.
that, but
We've seen them. We've seen your dances.
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, no. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of, like, where I come from, what I'm studying, and
Yeah.
why I'm here.
So, Illinois.
Yeah.
We are not in Illinois. Spoiler
No.
alert. So why did you choose Indy?
Yeah, I always tell people I moved right from the middle of Illinois to the middle of Indiana, and it always confuses everybody. So I was one of those high schoolers. I was like, I am moving far away from home. I'm going to a big school, big football, like, you know what everyone talks
Football.
about when they, yeah.
What football team?
What we don't have.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my thing, and so I did like over 15 college visits. I mean, I was in Oklahoma,
Wow.
Texas, Colorado, Michigan, like all over the United States. And I came to IUPUI, and at first it was probably my least favorite because it's so different, which doesn't mean that's a bad thing, but it really is different, especially when you have that mindset of like, I want to go to a big school, right? And so after, evaluating everything, that you do when you think about going to school, for me wanting to go into sports management, I was like, where are the sports opportunities, right? So for me, like Oklahoma State, when I went there, I was like, I'm going to Oklahoma State. Like it was my favorite. And then I was like, Anna, what is in Stillwater, Oklahoma? Absolutely nothing.
What made you even, what was your favorite thing about it?
I'm pretty sure they just sent me something in the mail.
She's like, I got that free t-shirt with the admissions.
I did get the free t-shirt.
Yeah, girl.
And so me and my dad did this like whole college road trip. Like we went to Oklahoma and Kansas and Wichita State and like all of that.
Dang.
And so I went there and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go. But then I was like, you want to work in sports. Like this is not setting yourself up for success in sports. So then one of the things, I'm like a firm believer in wherever you go, you're going to find your people.
Yeah.
Right. And so you like think about school and like, where am I going to meet my friends and where am I, like, what's going to be home? But wherever you end up, like, it's going to be home and you're going to find your people. And so I was like, at the end of the day, it came down to the opportunities and what, Indy offers. With all the pro teams, us being a D1 school, even though there's no football, I think just Indy is the place to go when you want to work in sports. And obviously that has paid off as we have seen in my last 4 years.
Yeah, I agree. That's a big reason why I transferred here as well. So I get why you came here.
Yes.
There's a lot
Indy's
to
got
choose
it all,
from.
man. Compared to Oklahoma,
Yeah. And I looked at Minnesota, and they're, they're great too, but ultimately chose IUPUI. So, and here we are, 4 years later, about to graduate. So.
Woo. Yeah, girl.
So, what opportunities have you, done when you've been here, and what's been your favorite so far? Because I know you've had a lot.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. I literally had to write some of them down because I was like, I don't remember everything I have done. But I spent 2 seasons working for the Colts. I'm on my 3rd season working for the Pacers.
Yeah.
Kenzie and I are coworkers.
Yeah, we
are. I've worked a lot of Big Ten football, basketball, championships, media days, done a lot with the NCAA, both, helping on the back end of things as well as with, championships, whether it be like water polo or basketball. We've done it all. And then awesome. I interned with Special Olympics Indiana last spring, so I've taught special ed before, so that was something where I could kind of
that's so cool.
merge those.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, I turned down an internship with the Colts to go home and teach special ed.
Really?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What was the internship for?
Business and event operations.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, what, I'm going to go home and teach. So
there you go.
Something different.
So that's why I love Special Olympics. And then this summer I went to Cincinnati and interned for the Western and Southern Open tennis tournament, which is one of those big tennis tournaments leading up to the U.S. Open.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've worked for our athletic department this last year, and now I'm at Indiana Sports Corp. So that's just like a brief overview. Those are like all from the last year. So
Everywhere.
it's like a brief kind of what I've done. So obviously Indy is the place to be.
Oh yeah, there's so much. One of your favorite memories at the tennis open. You want to tell us more about that?
Yes. So I was a player security intern. I have no business being in security. I'm not intimidating at all. But our job was to like make sure the players were happy, got from point A to point B, and needed everything they needed. So one of our main things was escorting players to different, to courts before, after matches, practices, to autograph signings, all that. So the Western Southern Open, which is now called the Cincinnati Open, they literally just changed the name. It brings in the biggest tennis players from all over the world. So Novak Djokovic, Carlos Alcaraz, Venus Williams was there, Coco Gauff, like all of them were there. And so Novak Djokovic hadn't been in the United States for like 2.5 years because of COVID and the whole vaccine, like all of those things. And so him coming back was the biggest deal.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, no one is going to get to drive him other than our head intern. Like, it was like, no one's going to be able to do this. So, but then one day I was able to drive him. And, well, one, he really liked honking my horn. So, like, the whole world knew we were going to where we were going.
Oh, my gosh.
But then we were driving really fast, and I, like, made some comment about, I thought I had grabbed one of, like, the slowest golf carts. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I literally have Novak Djokovic, and we were going, like, 5 miles an hour on this road.
Taking a stroll.
Yeah, and so I made this comment, and I was like, well, I'm so sorry. I think I grabbed, like, the slowest golf cart I could have grabbed. And he was like, no, like, you're going fast and so smooth around the turns. And I was like, my life is complete. I was like, I don't need anyone else to, say I'm a good driver. Novak Djokovic thinks
no
I'm a
one
good
can
driver.
trash talk your driving ever again.
No.
Yeah, so that was one of my fun stories from the Western and Southern. But it's really interesting, like, working with those athletes. Like, now when I watch, the Australian Open or whatever, it's so different because I've had personal interactions with all of them, So it's fun to see that side of them, though, off the court when they're relaxed and just themselves.
Learning what they're actually like off the court is the coolest part.
That's, like, the best part about working in sports. It's, like, you have these interactions, and then you see them doing things, and I'm like, well.
Know how they are.
Like, Brianna Stewart won MVP of the, WNBA. Well, I walked her to the Fever training room in July, so, like, boom, like, let me tell you.
It's so cool to just, and I think a lot of times even people forget they're people.
Right.
Right? I feel like a lot of times they're like, well, they're the number one tennis player in the world, or like they're LeBron James, or they're Steph Curry, or
they're still
they
human.
forget they're human.
They're just superhumans.
So, yeah.
They're really good at what they do.
They're just really good.
They're just
humans.
Really
That's
extra
so
talented.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you get that opportunity to go to that and do that?
Yeah. So growing up, tennis was my sport. So I've played tennis since I was 3.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah. My mom played tennis in college. It's just been like our family thing. And so growing up, my parents would go, to the Western and Southern on occasion, because Cincinnati isn't far from Illinois.
No. Yeah, no.
But it was always the week, like, school started. So me and my brother never got to go.
No.
Until last summer, my dad, found the internship posting on their website. And he was like, hey, I don't know, here's this, if you want to apply for it. And I was at first I was like, I don't know.
Why not?
And I was like, I'm just going to go for it, see what happens.
Yeah.
And sure enough, was lucky enough to get it. But
wow.
I lived with my mom's childhood friend from LA, who is now living in Cincinnati. I didn't know a single person at the internship. So it was one of those things that was kind of a big risk. I'm going somewhere I have never been. I don't know anybody. No. But some of the best 3 weeks of my life. So take chances and take risks if you have the opportunity to do so.
That's literally so cool. How many interns was there?
So there were different departments, but in our player security there were about 16.
Wow. That'd be so fun.
Wow, that would be so really cool.
It was, and we're best friends. We all still talk.
No way,
you
that's
spend
awesome.
200 hours
together.
3 weeks. It's insane.
Wow.
And so so it was fun. And now it's now as they get ready for this tournament and they announce that it's staying in Cincinnati, we all still talk. And we're like, oh, like, who's going back?
Who's doing
it?
Yeah.
Would that make
So
you, like, more open to working in that, like, tennis, like, going back and doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely thought about it because I think, I mean, we all know working in sports, you learn so many things just from being around them. Like, so many things happen that you have no idea they happen.
So true.
And so there were so many positions. I was like, I didn't know there needed to be someone who was in charge of getting the players their Cincinnati Reds tickets. Like, you know, or like, there are several different positions where you don't think about those aspects. Like, player relations. Oh, the players do need someone to make sure that they are taken care of. Or corporate sponsorships, even. There's just so many things that go into sports that you don't think of when you're just on the fan side and you show up at the gate to watch the match.
Job for everything.
They're really, every day you're like, whoa, that's a thing. Like, that's crazy.
It's crazy. I definitely, when I was there, I was like, oh, I could see myself doing this. But then, now that I kind of know what I want to do, I'm like, yeah, I think that's what I want to do. But I did think about it.
Yeah.
I was going to say with that, and you being a senior, you have to ask the question of, like,
you do.
What are you doing? Do you know what you want to do? Where are you going?
Yeah. So that's the big question I'm asking almost every day. So right now I'm looking at a sports leadership master's program. So going to more school. I've learned a lot. I'm sure if you saw my fun facts, like the Big Ten basketball media days were like my favorite event ever.
Yeah.
And it's such a, simple event, but I got to work with the Penn State men's basketball team. And working with those athletes that day, I was like, you know what? I want to work with student athletes. Like, I think going back to the whole, like, we forget athletes are people.
Yeah.
It's like they're talking to me about how they have to go do their accounting homework or they have to,
That's
there's just so many aspects. And so I was like, I have always been a relationship person and, like, I want to help others. Like, that's how I bring joy or, give myself joy is by helping others. We'll talk about this a little bit later with SMC, but just so it's college athletics, student athletes, probably either in student development or an athletic academic advisor. So it's really not your typical sport management path. Like most people go to sport management and they're like, I want to work in events. Like I want to make sure the fans are happy. And I've learned, like, I have no desire to do that. Like,
which is fine.
And
most people don't know how many different things you can do with sport management either.
Yes. No, exactly. And so some people think I'm crazy for wanting to go back to school, but it's an area that I'm so interested in and taking those, like, sports psychology courses and just,
so cool.
You know, like, my goal is to be able to help athletes with their journey off the court. So that's what I want to do.
Really I feel like that's becoming more of a big thing because it's like now being talked about more with like the stigma of like mental health and like student athletes. So like, you going into that now is cool because I think it's finally starting to be recognized and like become a bigger thing to talk about. It's not like a hidden thing anymore.
I feel like even if I talked about it freshman year, people would be like, what in the world?
Yeah.
But now it's like mental health alongside the whole NIL deal. I mean, there's so much you can get into there.
Yeah.
But it's definitely becoming a bigger thing.
Yeah.
When you like notice like at the Pacers, they have different rooms for like mental health rooms or like alongside. It's like right by the media room, so they have it available for the players whenever.
Exactly. Yeah.
And people just don't think about it.
No.
Because it goes back to they're human thing that people just don't think about.
They're just human.
It's
Yeah. So that's as of right now, next steps. So,
do you want to stay here to do that, or do you want to go to grad school? Like, are you looking at other places?
I am looking elsewhere. I know people are like, we got to get Anna to stay in Indiana.
I'm like,
I don't think Anna wants to stay in Indiana. So I'm looking at the University of Wisconsin.
Oh,
so
yes.
If everything works out there, that is probably.
And they have a really good athletic department over there.
Yes.
Like, big and
they do.
Yeah. They're very good at their sports.
And they have mental health people who like work with the teams. Like football team has mental health practices. So it's like that's so cool. Yeah. That's something that I just haven't had exposure to yet. And so I mean that's one of the positives of wanting to go to a bigger school and obviously because our school is so different in a good way. But knowing that that's what I want to do, I want to see like how do different schools do things and how are, athletics different even amongst D1 schools and things like that too. So we'll see. But
to be determined.
Looking like medicine for me. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, as you mentioned earlier, you talked about SMC. So for those of you listening that don't know, sport management club here at IUPUI, I'd say it's one of our bigger clubs here more popular, or we're just biased.
Or we think it's popular.
We think it's popular.
We're biased a little bit.
I think it's cool. But Anna is actually our president, which is really awesome. On year 2, which
is... I'm on year 2.
And as a woman, like, that's just really awesome because...
It's a big thing.
It's a big man-boy major.
Yeah, it is.
So to have a woman not only in the field, but to leading the club, which is really cool. So if you want to just kind of talk about your experience in that and how that's been, but also just, like, how it feels to be the woman president of this club.
How you even got that role also.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well... That is, going into college, I don't think I ever saw myself taking on a leadership position. Like, I've always been one to, like, be a leader, but I'm not sure why I saw college as that thing of, like, when I go there, like, I'm never going to be on a board, or I'm never going to be, or let alone be the president of anything. Right? And so I guess it was my sophomore year. Well, freshman year going into sophomore year, they kept trying to get me to be on, like, apply to be on the board, and I was like, it was COVID. I felt like I didn't know enough to be able to do a good job or, like, serve the organization.
Yeah, the experience. Yeah.
So my sophomore year, our former president, Willie Watley, who's amazing, he decided he was going to do the National Student Exchange. So he was like, I think that's what it was. So he was going to have another year in him, and, like, we weren't going to have to worry about anything. And then he decided he was going to leave. Oh. And so it was like he kind of came to me and was like, I can see you doing this. And I was like, I don't see myself doing that, but okay. And so he started bringing me along to, like, board meetings just so I could kind of see what was going on, see how it worked. And especially being a COVID freshman, like, I didn't know what normal looked like.
It
right?
was rough.
A big shift.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so you want me to, I don't even know what you guys do.
Yeah.
Because what I've seen, we've adapted because of COVID,
Yeah.
Right.
And so he started, I kind of started shadowing in that way, and then, which I'm grateful for, because otherwise I would have been a loss. I would have
been like, no.
And then come election time, no one ran against me. Or anybody. All 6 of us were like,
girl.
Yeah. So obviously there I was as a president. But it's been one of those things that has been extremely rewarding. I think I've put a lot of time into it, probably more than I maybe should at times in doing things. But like I said earlier, like, I get joy from helping other people.
Yeah.
Like, I've had students come to me for letters of recommendation, and, like, nothing makes me happier than when people feel like I've had an impact on them in that way, and that I've seen them. And so that's kind of been, like, the best part, I think, of being president of SMC, but also, coming out of COVID, I feel like we're getting known again. I mean, I get text emails almost weekly from people that I don't know who know SMC and want us to help out with an event or do things.
That's awesome.
So I think really it's cool that we're finally getting back to that, like, normal. We're way beyond.
Yeah.
Like, don't even want to talk about that. But it is cool to get to that point. And then I guess as a woman, I have always been one of the bros. Like, that's just, like, who I am. All my friends have always been guys.
You are one of the bros.
And so, like, I've literally had people say something, and they're like, Anna, you can't tell anybody. Well, you're actually, like, you're one of the bros, so, like, it's okay if she knows. That's just how it's been for me. Yeah. And so when I was president, like, people did kind of make a big deal out of, like, oh, we have a girl. Because most of the past leaderships and presidents have been.
Yeah. Right. Also, like, the rest of the board is guys.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So we have had, like, female presidents before. It had just, like, been a while. But, both of my boards, last year and this year, it's me and 5 guys.
The boys.
I mean, I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, it's been amazing, and I never feel, like, less than or anything because I am, a woman in sports. And they've all been so supportive. But I've also had conversations with girls from other schools where, like, they're scared to go to class because they're a girl in sports and all the guys don't think they're worthy of it or can't do it, or... and so I realize that I'm lucky that,
for sure.
We are surrounded by guys who...
It's a little
we are
intimidating sometimes, but when you have that support group and people that are welcoming, it's really great because the women in sports, it's growing.
It's
Yes. Yeah. In SMC this year, our girl... We're showing up.
It.
Yep. We're showing up.
Yes.
Like, we are.
Yeah, like, I told someone the other day, they asked if I could get, like, girls to do something. And I was like, yeah, I actually can. Like, I have
they'll show up.
A group of, and
they'll
so
show up. Yeah.
That's exciting, too, because even, like, started junior last year, like, we've always had girls, but now they're finally more
from last year to this
engaged.
There also seems to be, because I hadn't joined until this year for SMC, but it seemed like there's a lot of freshman girls.
The freshman girls are showing up.
The freshman girls are amazing this year. It's so fun to see. Yeah. And also, like, knowing that with a lot of us leaving, three of us on the board are, seniors and graduating, it's exciting to see that coming up.
There's still girls.
Like, there's
still plenty.
Yeah, because for a while, like, sometimes I feel like I'm the only one.
I mean, yeah.
And so it's nice to be like, okay, it's going to continue on that way. So, I mean, I know I've been lucky, but, like, the guys here have been amazing. And you know them all personally, but
they're awesome.
My best friends. Like, I joke that, like, in the future, my kids are just going to have a lot of fun uncles. Because, that's them. The relationship I have with them. So.
And that's, like, we're so lucky in our program here because, like, the guys, the professors, like, everyone, the women, like, I've never gone to class and felt less than the guy sitting next to me.
No, not at all.
And we have a woman professor who teaches sport classes. Like, there's just a lot of like, every time I go to a class, like, whether there's 2 of us or 15 girls, like, there's a girl in your class, in your sports class.
There's always at least
another girl. Yeah, and it's, like, comforting because I remember, like, when I switched to this major, I mean, day 1, like, I sat at this table with these girls because I was like, oh, and you're here.
Just coming from a class that I was the only girl in, usually there's 2 others, but it just doesn't feel that weird or different.
No. Obviously I won't say what school, but when I heard that from someone that they had this meeting with a girl who was, like, terrified to go to class and wasn't given opportunities because she was a girl, or because, like, the boys, like, bullied her because she was a girl wanting to get into a male-dominated. I was like, I can't even imagine going through the last 4 years without
this.
That
you said, let me tell you about this school called IU. You can transfer to.
She asked me, she was like, have you had a similar experience? And I was like, not at all. Like, it's been the complete opposite.
Like, I mean, there's been a few instances, but, like, I mean, there's always going to be those, like, 1 out of 800 people. But, like, for the most part, like, I've never felt like, dang, I can't volunteer for this because I'm a girl.
No, not at all.
We actually are like, hey, girls only, let's go do this. Like, I mean, like, when we talked about this podcast, like, I did talk to the freshman girls and I've talked to other girls, and I'm like, there's so many that are like, let's do it.
Oh, yeah, they're all, like, and I'm really wanting to do it.
As we're, like, brainstorming these girls, I'm like, there's so many to choose from. Yes. Like, it's awesome. So and they care, and they're trying, and they're, like,
helping grow.
Yeah.
Women in sports.
But back to what you were saying, we do appreciate you as president. You're an
yes,
awesome
we do.
president. We can't leave this without hyping you up. But the opportunities you've gotten us is crazy. I mean, we're an all-star week, and with 8 million things going on, we still found opportunities for us to volunteer, which is, like, amazing. We didn't know if we were going to get 2 weeks ago. So, like, you guys just busting your butt for that, and March Madness and literally everything else that Indy has coming up, like, you guys work so hard for. And it would have happened without you as the president. But, so you are appreciated, and what you do does not go unnoticed by anybody, especially us women out here in the thing. But to close out, we asked this question to everyone on the podcast, but we're curious as to who your favorite female athlete is and why.
Okay, I mean, I'm just going to say this, get out of the way. I've grown up an Iowa fan, so it is really cool. I know Kenzie's going to hate this, but it has
okay, I'm not a hater, guys, I swear.
I promise I have another answer, too. Okay, but it has been really cool to see Caitlin Clark, and just the way, like, women's sports and women's basketball. I mean, before last year, I had never watched a women's March Madness.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Like, I mean, this is terrible. I realize I'm a woman in sports, and I do not watch women's sports. Yeah. Like, that's you know, and like, I don't. Yeah. And so I do really think it's cool to see that it is. Now, like, the game, I forget who they're playing, but it's like $550 for a ticket to watch her, like, break the record.
Wow.
Like, you know,
her in Nebraska. Yeah, that was.
It's cool, and obviously there is a lot of hype around her, but just the awareness it's bringing to women's sports, I think, is incredible.
Before you make me a hater on Caitlin Clark, it's not that I hate her. What she's doing for women's basketball, it's amazing. Obviously, the last podcast, I said I'm a UConn fan, so the Paige Beckers is there. But the Fever are probably going to get Caitlin Clark, come to the Fever.
Please.
But she is. I mean, like, you can't deny that they're growing basketball. I mean, I'd say the same
like
for South Carolina. Like,
all of them. Even,
yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's growing. And the fact they've sold out and had 15 million viewers and whatever the viewer, like, yes, as much as she's not my favorite player, like, you can't not acknowledge what she's doing for women in sports.
Yeah, no, exactly. But, so I did want to say that. But I feel like right now, my favorite female athlete is probably Coco Gauff. So she is a 19-year-old tennis player for, you know, for the U.S. And so, obviously, I was a big fan of hers before working the tournament, just because it's cool to see, like, her starting at 16, you know.
It's crazy. It is.
It's wild. But now after, you know, the Western and Southern, like, getting to work with her personally, and I mean, she won our tournament, and I got to take her to, like, the championship thing afterwards. So, like, that was really cool to have that moment. But I think it's just seeing what she has done for, you know, for tennis and, like, being 19, like,
that's
crazy. I'm 21, and I can't picture myself doing
I can't even run down the basketball court. Like,
so, so Coco Gauff is probably my favorite. Like, I have a lot of other, I mean, tennis has been the main thing that I've watched and grown up watching, but it's now cool because there has been, like, a generational switch, you know, between, like, just as we've grown up. And so she's probably my favorite female athlete. Shout out to Coco Gauff.
Is that, did you know about her prior to that, or did you meet her there?
Yes, I did know about her. Tennis was one of those sports that we grew up just watching, like, in my household as I've grown up.
So from the beginning.
So I've known her and been a big fan of hers. But then when you get to work with someone in person and you learn that they really are, like, a nice person, you're like, oh, I like you even more than I did.
I was going to say, once you interact with them, you're like, man, I loved you, but now I love you even more.
Yeah. And now I have a reason to tell people why you're amazing.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Like, I can prove it. I have proof.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, Anna,
yeah.
Thanks for joining us. This has been really cool to talk, and fellow woman in sport in the same major. It's been nice to just chat it up. And
thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
There, I did.
Cut!
Thanks for